spread out the skies. You have opened our eyes. Your ways, oh God, they are holy.
Back in the earliest days of humanity, a religious festival was taking place. The sons of God came to stand before him, believing men and women gathering to worship. Job was there, a prominent figure. Satan was there too, prowling around, thinking of new ways he could spoil God's pleasure. When Satan stands for his audience with God, it's from earth. He's not in heaven's courts. He was expelled from there. The earth is his domain now, since he usurped it from Adam and Eve. Paul calls him the prince of the power of the air, the god of this world. And Jesus calls him the ruler of this world. God knew it was only a matter of time before he received a spiteful challenge about Job, so he preempts it by starting to boast to Satan about Job, goading Satan into showing his hand. His devotion is only skin deep, hisses Satan, "Let me at him and I'll show you." A similar exchange would take place thousands of years later about Jesus' disciples. Satan demanded to have you, to sift you like wheat, Jesus told Peter. We know Peter fell and denied Jesus, but the real trial would be the onslaught on his faith after that. His relationship with God could have been permanently blighted. He could have been sidelined from active service, but Jesus had prayed for enduring faith. As regards Job, there's no doubt Satan had great pleasure in afflicting the poor man, but the real target was his faith, the foundation of a loving relationship to God. "Curse God and die," said Job's wife, saying exactly what the devil wanted. Why did Satan need permission to attack Job or the disciples, Adam and Eve, Jesus himself, or any believer? Because God has not only the power but the right to protect and bless his saints in response to their faith and prayers. That's within the rules of this spiritual warfare. That's why Jesus tells us we should pray to be kept safe from trials, a better word than temptation, and delivered from the hands of the evil one. And even if God does let Satan off the leash for a while, he sets limits. Thus far and no more. God will never allow us to be tested more than we can bear, says Paul. That leads then to a deeper question. Why does God allow challenges from Satan? Why accept them? Why is the devil allowed even to exist and do his work? Why did God not use the nuclear option long ago and destroy Satan with his fallen world and just start again? The answer is that for ages to come, there would have been a deep wound at the heart of existence. Satan would have gone off to his judgment, gloating of a victory over the Almighty. He had shown that his beloved children couldn't trust him and wouldn't love him unless the Creator forced them to, of course, or made it so easy that their devotion was only ever skin deep. Heaven's bliss would have been forever blighted by these doubts. God has something to prove, and so do we. Proving it together with him will be the essence of our future heavenly glory and bliss. Paul writes that our warfare isn't against flesh and blood, but the battle takes place in our flesh and blood. We see that clearly in the book of Job. It's the age-long fight for human hearts and minds. And not only during unusual times of testing, ordinary life, even in our peaceful Christianized West, offers plenty of opportunities every day for us to show devotion to God and live out our faith in him as the only true source of happy life, which is exactly what Adam and Eve didn't do. So can we steadfastly show that we have faith in God? I think this is the main reason why almost no one sees Jesus in person nowadays, nor even angels. God wants to develop deep, lifelong faith in us and undo Adam's legacy of unbelief. Blessed are those who have never seen and yet believe, says Jesus. Faith is the assurance of things we hope for and the certainty of things not yet seen, says Hebrews. And without this faith, it's impossible to please God. If we do have to encounter severe times of testing, God forbid, Peter says that at one level we can be glad if we can see God's hand in it, deepening our faith, purifying our relationship with Him. The testing will be temporary. We're told that if we stand our ground and fight with faith, Satan will flee from us. He has his limits. And afterwards we'll inherit blessings we could hardly imagine. The book of Job has a very happy ending, and so will our story.